You ever notice how Michael Bloomberg may not be making headlines like he used to, but his fingerprints still seem to be all over the anti-gun policies? A new example of that comes from Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Solutions. Now, they just released what they call a public carry permitting model policy guide. Sounds official, sounds scientific, but when you dig into it, it's basically a blueprint for making concealed carry permit harder, more expensive, and more complicated for law-abiding gun owners. Now, the guide claims to be evidence-informed public health policy designed to reduce gun violence, but here's the question. Where's the focus on the actual causes of violent crime? Now, you won't find much discussion about repeat offenders. You won't see much about weak law enforcement, crime networks, gang activity, or violent criminals repeatedly cycling through the system, and don't expect much mention of defensive gun use or the role armed citizens can play in protecting themselves or others. Instead, the recommendation seems aimed squarely at people trying to legally exercise their right to self-defense. Now, we're talking more forms, more fees, more training mandates, more government paperwork, and more administrative hoops to jump through. One recommendation: require permit applications to be submitted in person. Now, think about that for just a second. Whether you apply online or by mail or face-to-face, the background check is still the background check. Your criminal history doesn't magically change based on where you hand over the paperwork. But forcing someone to drive hours to a county office during business hours, that doesn't stop criminals. It just creates another barrier for regular people trying to follow the law. And here is another controversial proposal: eliminating temporary emergency carry permits for people facing immediate threats. So, if someone is dealing with a credible danger to their life, their recommendation? Wait. Just wait. Just wait. See, it doesn't solve a safety problem. It actually creates one. The guide also pushes against constitutional carry laws and suggests states should only recognize carry permits from other states if they meet the center's preferred standards. But supporters of concealed carry point to something often left out of these conversations. Lawfully armed citizens can and do play a role in public safety. In fact, nearly half the nation's state attorneys general previously told Congress that concealed carry is a constitutional right and can provide real public safety benefits, especially when police aren't immediately available during an emergency. When seconds count, police are only minutes away. We've all heard that. That's an important perspective, but it's one that is consistently missing from organizations promoting stricter gun control policies. And then there's the irony of groups like Bloomberg-backed Everytown for Gun Safety. Now, Everytown promotes firearm training programs. Awesome, right? Wrong. They promote firearm training while also supporting policies that make gun ownership and carrying more difficult and restrictive. I don't know about you, but to me that kind of feels contradictory. It's like saying, hey, we can't stop you from owning a gun. Well, at least make the process harder and lecture you on why you shouldn't own a gun. Now, at the end of the day, the debate comes down to a basic question. Does piling on more paperwork, more fees, and more bureaucracy actually make people safer? The long answer: no. Lawful permit holders aren't driving America's violent crime problem, and making legal carry more expensive, more burdensome, and harder to access won't change that reality at all. One thing seems certain though: this conversation, it's not going away anytime soon. I would expect more policy pushes, more political battles, and more debate over where the line should be drawn between public safety and the right to keep and bear arms. If you are sick and tired, just like me, of people that claim to care about you while taking away your right to protect yourself, go ahead, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you want to be in the know for breaking news, court cases, and just downright ridiculous things that politicians claim about guns, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That's all for now, and I will see you soon right here on the 2A Defense Network.